Alright, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power, and today's video is the big one. My Olympia predictions for the 2021 Mr. Olympia. So before we get into those predictions, let's get into the actual qualified competitors list so we know who we're actually choosing from here. And out of this list, I'm only going to be doing top 6 and not top 10. So let's take a look at this list. This is going to be a fun one. There's 19 total qualified competitors for this year's Olympia. William Bonac, Hadi Chupin, Brandon Curry, Nathan Diasha, Big Ramy, Mamdoa Elsbaye, Regan Grimes, Phil Heath, James Hollingshead, Hunter Labrada, Patrick Moore, Hassan Mustafa, Andre Presti, Justin Rodriguez, Mohamed Shaban, Vladislav Shirachko, Ian Valliere, Nicholas Walker, and Akeem, the BK Beast, Williams. So out of this list, there's only 2 that I believe are not competing. I believe Phil Heath, we know for sure he's out. The other one I believe is Nathan Diasha. I think at this point, it's a relatively safe assumption to say that he's out. So I'm going to go ahead and exclude him from this prediction video because it seems like he's not going to be able to make it to the Olympia. Now, keep in mind with these predictions, Rolly Winkler is a bit of a wild card here because he's a guy that I'm not really sure if he's in. We know he qualified. He qualified off of a second place placing at that Europa Spain, but he did skip the Arnold and didn't really give us much reason or really much notice as to why. And even though it appears he's in Orlando now, I wouldn't be shocked at this point if he just didn't do the Olympia, but we'll see. But for the sake of this video, we'll put Rolly down as a maybe, which whittles it down to about 17 competitors, which is a really stacked lineup, meaning the top 10 here will be an accomplishment because you'll beat 7 guys just to get in the top 10, which is a big deal. So just keep that in mind as I do these predictions, and anybody that's not in my top 6, some of them might be in the top 10, and that's still a major accomplishment. I'd say anywhere from 6th to 10th here is a really big deal. This is one of the most stacked Olympia lineups we've seen in a while. So before we get into my predictions, I want to take a second for you guys to leave in the comment section below your predictions for the 2021 Olympia. Pause the video if you need to. Leave your predictions in the comment section below, and we'll see how closely our predictions match up. And while you're doing that, like the video if you're excited for the 2021 Mr. Olympia. So let's get straight into it here. 6th place. This is going to be the really important and really probably the most variable placing. I think there's several guys that could come in this spot. I'm looking at 6th place as one of the newcomers. One of the newcomers is going to take this spot. So by newcomer, I mean younger guy, newer guy to the Olympia stage. I'm thinking this is a spot that's going to be between Justin, Hunter Labrada, Ian Valliere. If Nathan were competing, I'd potentially have him in that spot. Rolly Winkler, Regan Grimes even potentially in that spot. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to go ahead and predict that Ian Valliere is going to be the one that cracks the top 6 this year. He's going to be the newcomer that finally gets in there. He was the closest last year out of Hunter. Obviously, we didn't see any of those other names that I mentioned place in the top 10 last year or either didn't compete last year. So Ian really is the closest based off of last year, and I really think that based on his recent competition history, the major victories, the 2nd place at the Arnold Classic, I have a strong feeling he's going to be a first call-out guy at the Olympia this year. It seems like the judges really like him, so for that reason, he's the guy that I have cracking the top 6 as one of the newcomers this year. But just wait until we get in the top 3. That's where it's going to get interesting. So my 5th place prediction. This is going to be a tough one, but I believe it's going to be William Bonac. This is where Bonac placed last year. Keep in mind, last year, you had Ramy in 1st. You had Brandon Curry in 2nd, Phil Heath in 3rd, Hadi Chupin in 4th place, and in 5th place, William the Conqueror Bonac. Now, we've gotten some physique updates, we've seen some guest posings, but we didn't get the opportunity to see William Bonac on the Arnold Classic stage, which I think would have been a really important predictor of how he's going to do at the Olympia, but we didn't get to see that at all. So for that reason, I can't say, William Bonac destroyed Nick Walker and Ian at the Arnold, so he's gonna destroy them at the Olympia as well. We didn't get to see that. So I'm going to go ahead and predict William Bonac in 5th place. I think the same as last year. He's a guy that, like I've said before about his physique, he brings those finer details, and I think for that reason, he's still going to be a first call-out guy. I think, William is kind of a perennial first call-out guy. It seems like every year he's right there in the mix. So this year, I think he's going to be there again, and I think he's going to bring, like I said, enough detail there to edge out a guy like Ian in 6th place and some of these other guys that potentially could have been in that 6th place spot. But I think that's going to be the biggest spot for me that could be really rotational. 6th place is a really important one this year that we need to be watching for. So recap, Ian in 6th, William in 5th. Now, In fourth place, this is going to be the one that people are going to have a lot of contention with. This is going to be the one that people either strongly agree or strongly disagree with. Nick Walker, the Mutant, your Arnold Classic champion, your 2021 New York Pro champion, a record of 2-1. The only show he hasn't won in his pro career was his pro debut, Chicago Pro, where he took fourth, and then after that won back-to-back the two biggest shows in bodybuilding outside of the Olympia. And in doing so, Nick has not only garnered a following so rapidly, like nothing I've seen in recent memory. Nick's fan base is one of the fastest growing and most passionate that I've seen in a really long time in bodybuilding. Some people are even saying he's like the next Jay Cutler. So when I say this is going to be a controversial placing, I think from the standpoint of a lot of people either think Nick is going to be, I think most people would agree Nick is a strong candidate for first call out after the season that he's had. He made a lot of us believers. So I think some people either feel that he's a top 6 candidate, or some people think he's the best bodybuilder in the world right now and he's going to win the Olympia, no doubt about it. Now, I think the more rational and more likely outcome here is that Nick Walker will be in the first call-out. You don't win the Arnold Classic and the New York Pro back-to-back, and that doesn't get you something at the Olympia. It's not like that doesn't get you a little bit of extra attention on stage. That gets you a little bit of extra momentum going into that show. That gets the judges a little bit more familiar with your name and your track record and how good you have been in the past. And I think that does give you a certain advantage, especially when the Arnold Classic was this close to the Olympia. So I think it would almost be a foolish prediction for anybody to predict that Nick wouldn't be in the first call-out based on the success that he has already had this year. Now, could Nick win the Olympia this year? And will he win the Olympia this year? Those are two different questions. Could he? Yes, I believe he could. Will he? I believe not. I think the most likely scenario is Nick right in the middle of that 1 to 6 range. So I think fourth, possibly third after we talk about my third place pick. But I've got Nick Walker placing fourth right now. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. Roast me, whatever you need to do. Half my predictions were wrong for the Arnold, so this is really just for fun at this point. So it's not like it's too serious. But I did pick the correct winner in Classic Physique at the Arnold, and I correctly predicted Logan in third. But that's Classic, and by the way, we're doing Classic Physique tomorrow, so good reminder, if you want to see my Classic Physique predictions, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned because that's coming tomorrow. But let's get to third place here, top 3. This is the nitty-gritty. This is the brass tacks. This one may be also controversial. Brandon Curry, I'm going to have in third place. Now, I like Brandon. I think he was a great Olympia champion in 2019. I think he deserved the victory. When a lot of people seem to argue with Brandon's victory in 2019, I think he deserved it. I like him as an Olympia champion. He's been a great ambassador and a great representation. But the main reason that I have Brandon third is not because of any flaw or lacking in Brandon's physique. The reason I have Brandon in third is because of my second place pick, Hadi Choopan. I really firmly believe Hadi Choopan, this is his year to shine. He's a guy that for the past couple of years, I think he has really either been overlooked or not gotten the credit that he deserved at the Olympia. The conditioning that he brought, insane. The amount of muscle he has packed onto his frame, very similar to Nick Walker, and that's a comparison I really want to see is Hadi versus Nick. But Hadi's got all the muscle in the world and brings the craziest, grainiest conditioning ever. Last year, I think, was a bit of a fluke. He dropped in placing by, one placing he was down? He was third in 19, and then he was fourth in 2020. I think the reason for that was the visa issues, the last-minute travel issues getting to the States. This year, Hadi doesn't have that. Hadi has been here for weeks. He got here way ahead of time. He's early. He has no stress. He has no worries about travel. He's in the United States. Everything is taken care of. And I think that has a tremendous amount. That plays a really big role in getting ready for a show and possibly things like water retention. That can affect your conditioning. You can see physiques fade in just the last couple of days due to stress. And I think that could have impacted Hadi Choopan's Olympia appearance last year. Now, taking all that into consideration, he still looked crazy good at last year's Olympia, but not as good as 2019. And I really, truly think that this is going to be Hadi's year to shine. I think everything is going according to plan. He's working with Hani Rambod. Like I said, he's here early. I think this is the year that Hadi moves up. He doesn't move backwards here. He blazes forwards, and I think second place in conversation for a victory, by the way. So first place, my winner prediction here is Big Ramy. But this is with the caveat that his conditioning is as good as last year or better, not 1% worse than last year. I think the standard for Ramy is going to be tight. Because the fact that he won last year, I think, was entirely predicated on the fact that in the past, Ramy had came in big, but he had never really came in shredded. Then he finally came in shredded at last year's Olympia, not just big, and he was rewarded with the title. I think if Ramy comes in anything less than shredded, he just comes in like the normal big Ramy that we had seen for years, I don't think they give him the title. But in this case, I think that Ramy's coaches and the people around him have this prep figured out. I think he's going to nail his conditioning again. And I think that with Chad and Dennis in Ramy's corner, I think he's going to be able to probably replicate a very similar package to what he brought last year. And I think if he does that, he wins the show. Now, if he doesn't, I think Ramy still takes second. And I think Hadi moves into that victory seat because Hadi is known for conditioning. So if Ramy doesn't bring it, based on Hadi's track record, I've never seen Hadi come in off. So if Ramy doesn't bring it from a conditioning standpoint, I feel pretty comfortable saying that Hadi will. And if he does, I think Hadi wins the show. But that's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. Those are my predictions. So to recap, in 6th place, Ian Valliere. In 5th place, William Bonac. 4th place, Nick Walker. 3rd place, Brandon Curry. 2nd place, Hadi Chubin. And 1st place, Big Ramy. Now, double check your comments in the comment section. See if you guys match with me or not. How different are you? Where do we disagree? Let me know if you agree or disagree with my predictions. How wrong am I? Am I going to be way off, just like the Arnold? Let me know in the comment section below, but give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Give the video a thumbs up if you're excited for the Olympia. Like the video if you liked the video. It's cheap, it's easy, it's free, and it helps out more than you guys know. I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out.
Dancing in the good light, everybody's feeling warm and bright. It's such a fine and natural sight, and everybody's dancing in the good